path forward, built for nonprofits, powered by Salesforce, designed by Idlewild. I'm the founder and CEO of Idlewild Partners. My name is Stacy Rice. I founded Idlewild in 2015, but I've been doing Salesforce implementations for nonprofits since 2008. We are a team of consultants working exclusively with nonprofits. In the last 10 years, we've worked with over 300 nonprofits on the Salesforce platform, doing everything from custom implementations to ongoing support. I'm really excited to show you what we've built based on almost 20 years of experience of building on the platform. So what are we going to talk about? So there are kind of two existing options that folks are already familiar with. There's the Nonprofit Success Pack, NPSP, founded in 2009, a managed package. Most of you probably already know, which is why you're on this call, is that it's at end of innovation. This is used to indicate that it's no longer receiving development or features. They haven't rolled out a new feature in a while. As of December 2025, it's no longer offered with the P10. Those are the free donated licenses. So this is becoming a real non-option for nonprofits. The other option that currently exists is Agentforce for nonprofits, also known as Nonprofit Cloud, built on Salesforce Industry Cloud architecture. So those are the two sort of Salesforce managed and owned and offered products. We would like to talk today about a third option. We call it our Nonprofit Accelerator. It's built on Salesforce Sales Cloud. It is an unmanaged, unlocked, flexible platform specifically to replace some of the key features that NPSP provided, the ones that most of our clients used most of the time. We built it declaratively, and I'll talk more about that. And we built it to be really an accelerator, not a fixed platform or product. Why we did this and how we did this, we really have worked with hundreds of organizations over the years, have been doing 15 plus years of implementations, and really thought about, of all the features for fundraising, development, communications, constituent management, of all the features that we know and love from NPSP, how can we do those better? How can we do them on the latest technology? And how can we do them thinking kind of declaratively using the powerful tools that are part of the Salesforce platform? So we kind of started to ask ourselves, like, this is the time we started building this in 2023, thinking at the time when NPC came out, wow, this probably isn't a great fit for many of our clients, might be good for some other clients, but the way our clients operate and how large and complex they are, it didn't really make sense for most folks to move to NPC, this really huge enterprise system. But also, could we really put them on NPSP knowing that it has a shelf life? So we started thinking about what happens with everyone in the middle who really does need a third option. And that's when we came up with the Nonprofit Accelerator, NPA. We have been implementing it for almost 2 years now. And so I'm excited to show you kind of what it looks like out of the box. So I'm going to jump into a demo org. We are in a demo org that has what we call NPA Plus. This is going to be our Nonprofit Accelerator. It also has, just so you know, and I'm going to jump into this one slide really quickly, it does have, in addition to NPA as the core, it does have our so NPA as a core is really for development operations. It is kind of what NPSP did really, really well, but it also has, additionally, you'll see additional what we call accelerators, or if you want to call them packages, you can, but they're really unmanaged, unlocked. We have revenue goals, we have donor journeys, we have boards and committees, we have program management, we have case management, and we have something called Record Spotlight. So these are in here and you might see them, but I'm going to focus on the core NPA here. The reason why you see NPSP or NPC in the middle here, because this is like your core architecture, your hub and spoke model. These other accelerators can actually fit and work with any of these three as the base. So when I jump back into our accelerator demo, I'm going to jump into accounts first. First, I look at Cora and Eugene as a household. So Cora and Eugene, we do have the household functionality. You can see it actually doesn't look that different than what you're probably familiar with when you log into your Salesforce org. A couple of things I want to highlight is the record badges up here. I can talk more about those. You can see Cora and Eugene are the multiple two people in the same household. We have something called partnerships that replaces relationships and affiliations. It actually does three things. It does account to account for account to account relationships. It does contact to account, um, replacing affiliations, and it does contact to contact replacing relationships. And I'll show you more of that. We're using as many core standard objects as possible, reducing the complexity of our data model. We have a pretty light, lean data model intentionally. And so you'll see things like contact point address is actually the standard address object in Salesforce. We didn't create a custom object for that. You can see over here, we have all of our roll-ups. I'll talk more about our roll-ups here for the household. We have another feature we call account tags, a really simple way to manually or automatically tag accounts, contacts, and campaigns. So here I can see that this account is part of our legacy society. They're part of affinity groups, our monthly giving club, etc. And if I scroll up here, I can kind of see that these account tags roll up here so that I can pull this into reports and dashboards. Jumping into household management here, from this screen, which is, we have a household model that can be installed separately, but doesn't have to be. So with NPSP, it came with all the household functionality. In our NPA model, it is optional. So if you are more of a B2B nonprofit, and are less of a B2C, you might not need the households. But for those that do, you can easily add people here. So I can create a new contact from within this nice screen flow. It would automatically add a contact here. I could also automatically add an existing contact to my household, and you'll see it automatically adds that person here. And when that happens, it will refresh. You'll see here it refresh. It says Jane Gray, and all of the naming conventions, very similar to how you're used to them, formal greeting, informal greeting, and household get updated. So let me jump into Eugene Smith, who is our major donor. So I want to flag something here. These components that we're looking at here, Eugene, his profile page here, his record badges here, his donor summary, he sits on boards and committees. All of these are part of our Record Spotlight Accelerator. These are highly flexible, very easy to customize, no code for your administrators to set these up. They can be added to any object and to any layout that's a Lightning layout. You customize the color, you customize the font, you customize what rolls up and what it looks like. You can create your own badges or pull from the library, which we recommend, pulling from the Salesforce icon library. But when I'm looking at Eugene here, the idea of Salesforce, as you all know, is this idea of centralizing that core information on a profile, in this case, a donor profile. So from within Eugene's contact, I can see my emails. And again, going back to centralizing and simplifying the data model, we are using contact point email. This is the standard email object from Salesforce. So I'd be able to see all of his email history here. I can see those relationships that we talked about, affiliations and relationships. If I click Manage Connections, this will allow me to, in a single screen flow with a data table, I can add new affiliations. So I can add a new organization, institution here with a status, a start date and end date, a role. And separately, but in the same table, I can create connections that are person to person or contact to contact. What's nice about the way this is one, it centralizes it. So I can make this the former, current, former from here. I could inline edit it, but also it's a single record or a single object, I should say. So when I'm managing connections, it's an object called connections. In that single object, I can create different types of connections. What's valuable about that, as opposed to having it split into two separate objects, is for reporting purposes and visibility. I might want to see every relationship Eugene has, regardless of the type of relationship, in a single view. That condensed and consolidated data model gives me that access. I can also see boards and committee memberships. I can see that he's the vice chair of our board of directors, and he's a former chair of our spring fundraising committee. I could drill into that and get more information. So from here, I do also have tags available, just like I showed you tags on our accounts. You can add and remove tags quite easily from this add tags screen flow here. The tags are, again, managed by administrators or non-administrators who have privilege to create new tags in the system. Down here in our donor journeys, I can see the major gifts officers. This is a tool that they would use called Donor Journeys, where I can set goals for a given timeline. Typically aligns with fiscal year, but doesn't have to. I can see in 2022, we We attempted to bring Eugene into our major donor giving circle with a $1,000 ask for the year, of which none was received, and we ended up not getting any of it. You can see we 0% of the way, but we decided to re-engage. And so the next year we set a $3,000 target, changed our strategy, and exceeded our goal by 167%. I'm going to drill into Eugene's donor journey. And from here, I can see what Eugene looks like in his specific 2025 goal. And so from this perspective, I can see that we have a fundraising goal of 30,000. We're 11,000 on our way there. We have 3,000 in our pipeline. And how much do we have for our soft credit? So this is his get summary and this is his give summary. If I scroll down, I can see those same metrics here, including a progress to goal meter. And so these metrics here correspond with his give. These correspond with his get or soft credit. And the way this works is that when opportunities are added to Salesforce that meet the criteria, they're automatically added here. So I can see all of the gifts associated with Cora and Eugene, the ones that they brought in directly because they're giving the money from their own accounts or their own businesses or their own trusts or donor advised funds, or if they're giving money through friends and family through their network. It all rolls up here, and so that I get a nice quick summary and I can see how are we doing, including what is our strategy. So from here, I can see a donor strategy that's drafted. I can see any affinity notes that we pulled, and each year this will change based on our relationship with Eugene. I can track moves management here. Those are those phone calls, meetings, emails, all of those things to steward Eugene. It can be a custom set of activities based on his profile and engagement. I can see any wealth screening information. So if you are connected to a wealth screening tool like an iWave or a wealth engine or any of those, we can integrate it here. And our strategy agent, which is actually a custom, very, very easy to use OpenAI integration where you can draft donor summary, summarize engagement, recommend an ask, draft a comms. So that is our donor journey accelerator. Jumping in to our giving and donor opportunities, our Nonprofit Accelerator comes with donations, grants, in-kind matching, and special event right out of the box. So let's go take a look at one of Eugene's major giving gifts. So if I drill into this $8,000, I'm sorry, it was a $15,000 ask for Eugene, which we are projecting 8,000 because it is a renewal of we only got 8,000, but it is fully posted. From here, I can track the give get from Eugene and Cora, but also from any other individuals who have who have a role. So you can see here, Brig and Cindy both have a role on this gift. They both are, one is a fundraiser and one is a solicitor. Brig is a fundraiser, Cindy is a solicitor. If I keep scrolling over here, you're going to see they both received soft credit. I could have given them both hard credit, one of them hard credit, no credit, separating from their role and how much, in this case, $4,000. So you'll see here, it's kind of splitting up that $8,000, whereas Eugene and Cora both get full credit for the $8,000. Brig and Cindy are splitting the credit as board members who help bring the gift in. Scrolling down here, I can take this $8,000 and I can allocate it or restrict it, purpose or time restricted, in this case also location restricted. So from here I can say, okay, this $8,000, some of it is going to our after school program in the southern tier for FY25, and as I under or over allocate, it's going to tell me how I've under or over allocated, and I can adjust accordingly. And until it says, yep, this fully allocated, you're good to go. So this allows me to take a single gift and restrict it across areas and years. I also have the ability to schedule and track payments, individual transactions, and there is similar functionality if I jump into a grant, as folks are sort of familiar and need. Let's go into my grant here. So similarly, I have a bunch of grant fields that don't show up on your donation record type, but we have grants, start dates, end dates for your major deadlines, your LOIs, your proposals, your deliverables, and down here I have a set of deliverables, final reports, interim reports, etc. Jumping into some more sophisticated aspects of our accelerators. The revenue goals is the ability to set org-wide goals for the fundraising team around specific revenue targets. So if you know, let me jump here to my homepage for just a second, and I'll show you a sneak peek of why we built this. So if you know you need to raise nearly 12 million, in this case, $11.9 million for this year, you should think about how are we going to get there? What are the buckets of funding or streams that we should think about? And how are we going to make sure we're on track in those areas? And so here I can see, we've set a goal of 770,000 for events, 1 million from individuals. We always raise almost 2 from our gala, 3 million from grants and foundations, and another 5 million from major donors, totaling 11.9. Let me jump into those goals to show you what they look like from a perspective of a specific goal. So you can see here, I'm raising, let me go here. You can see here, I've set a goal of $1 million. So if my goal is $1 million, it shows me right here that I've raised $680,000 and I'm 68% of the way to my goal. So that means I have a funding gap. I still need to bring in 319,000 by year end, which according to my calendar is in 2 weeks. Not probably likely given that we're only 68% of the way to our goal, but you never know what's in the pipeline. Let's take a look. 214,000 in the pipeline. 150K of that is our adjusted probability or likelihood. That actually still means our funding gap, even if we close that at 169,000, that only will bring us 90% to closing our gap. That is not enough, but I can see all of the gifts that are associated with this revenue goal. And it'll show you all of the pipeline and awarded that have been assigned. A gift can actually belong to multiple goals because it is at the allocation level. So you will see here when it says, okay, how do we know which opportunities and allocations actually roll up or associated with this goal? So the goal filters get created just like you create a report. You can have and or filters in place. So in this case, if I were to read this to you, it says the opportunity amount is greater than 100. So that has to be true. The opportunity record type equals donation. That has to be true. And the allocation fiscal year, in this case, has to be FY25. If all of those are true, then it will automatically create a goal allocation. If you see here, if I click configure goal allocations, it takes me to this custom screen where I can choose which object I want to filter on, in this case, opportunity. I can check any field on the opportunity that I want. So I can say anonymous equals true. And then down here, I can validate my and or filter, and it will tell me if it's true. So I'm going to click cancel so I don't mess up those. Once those are set, when opportunities are updated or created, they will automatically allocate here, and there is a nightly batch that runs and grabs any changes that it might have missed and reallocates them here. I can also calculate roll-ups or force the batch to run right away. That is our revenue goals feature. We do have a handy dandy boards and committees feature as well. So we have this ability to create multiple boards and committees. I can have a parent board structure. So if this were a subcommittee, like a finance committee, I could link it to the parent board. From here, I can see that it's active. It started back in 2015 when we founded the nonprofit. I can see who my members are, current, former, prospective. I can see what my meetings were and I can take attendance. So let me jump into my board of directors meeting that happened in September. I can see we had an overall attendance rate of 61%. I can see 5 absent, 8 present. I can see our meeting notes and agenda. I can see the board book that was attached to the board meeting or given to the board members. I can see the attendance, the folks who actually attended, and of course I can take attendance if I want to adjust the attendance here in this data table. Going back to the board of directors, let me drill into a member. If I open up Eugene, who is our vice chair of the board of directors, from his page, I can see some information that's quite valuable potentially for viewing our board members. I can see that he's currently the vice chair. I can see he has a term, that's the 2025 term, starts in January, ends in December of this year. I can see a summary of his attendance and any meeting notes. From here, though, I can drill into things that are maybe more important. I can see that he has two goals. One is inactive and his 2024 goal, and one is an active goal. So we can set financial goals, which are goals specific to board members. You can, and just like our revenue goals accelerator, it will show you your give, get goals and progress to goals. So I could drill into that and it would give me that detail. I can see here his attendance, which meetings he's RSVP'd yes to, which meetings he's attended, which meetings he was absent or no show. And I can see his terms and term limits. So I could drill into one of these and see that detail. That is just some of our accelerators. I won't get into case management or volunteer management or program management today. I wanted to focus on kind of those fundraising, development, and comms features that folks find really helpful. If you have any questions, please let me know. And I just want to kind of go back to uh, this kind of overall view of all of the accelerators that you got a sneak peek at today. And thank you very much.